You know you want to work in the cybersecurity industry, but how do you find a cybersecurity job? It seems like an easy question to answer, but it gets complicated very quickly. In this week's episode, we are talking with Stephen Semmelroth in episode 2 of a 6-part series on getting a job in cybersecurity. This week, it's all about how to find a cybersecurity job. We're talking through all of the different on-ramps, all of the biases, and all of the best practices that you can implement in order to find the cybersecurity job that you want. Let's go. Hey everybody, finding a job in cybersecurity is definitely more complicated than just Googling open jobs in cybersecurity. There's a lot of techniques that you can employ that will cast a wider net, if you will, and also find jobs that aren't even posted publicly. Now, really quick, if you're new here, I'm Jerry Osher. This is Simply Cyber, the YouTube channel designed to help you make and take a cybersecurity career further, faster. And we talk to experts like Stefan on this channel, and we do technical stuff. So if that's interesting to you, be sure to check out the other videos on the channel. So let's get right into the interview. And I'd like you to pay close attention to some of the tips that Stefan's going to reveal around different jobs in the industry, some that you may not even be considering as potential on-ramps into the industry that actually pay quite well, and tips on how to effectively cast that wide net that we're talking about. So let's hop into it. All right, Stefan. So we already done a video on how to make a great resume, but now the next step is finding that cybersecurity job. And, a lot of people have Google, but there probably is a more efficient way. So, what is your go-to power tip for finding a cybersecurity job?
I've got my own biases in here, right? And the particular one that I'll talk about is my confirmation bias. When I was launching my company, how did I go through and find clients? Like what was the process of me going to find clients as I was building my company? Very, very similar to finding a job in that kind of prospecting method. And the thing that was super important to me throughout that, I tried a number of different ways. Like my first client that I landed was from my network. Like my network that I'd built like prior to really like going in LinkedIn, like my network. My second client came from my network. My third client came from my network. All the while, I'm trying to do these cold reach outs and prospect. And this is before I learned any sales fundamentals, by the way. So I'm far better at it now.
Yeah.
But I'm going through and I'm doing these massive marketing campaigns to try to land these new clients. My 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. My first 17 clients were from networking.
Mm-hmm.
None of them were from just blindly reaching out to companies. So when I talk with, I was talking with a gentleman earlier today. He's trying to pivot from kind of the healthcare space over to like some compliance and auditing. And he's really close to it. He's very close to making that pivot. And this is not uncommon. He has submitted, and I've heard this number, I can't tell you how many times, he has submitted 200 resumes to job openings across the country. And he's had less than 10 callbacks.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic we should touch on too. Yeah.
So when I could literally, like, we could talk all day on this. Like, let's do a 24-hour live stream.
Yeah.
It'll be great. It'll be fun. When I'm talking with candidates, and you ask them, hey, how did you actually find your job? Maybe like now we're talking like people that are a little bit later in their career and they're trying to move up. Maybe they want to be a director or a VP or a CISO or a CTO or a CIO or a chief risk officer or whatever it happens to be. Hey, how'd you get your first job? Why don't I tell you how I got my first job in cyber?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So 20 years ago last month, my first cyber incident was very, very like quick. It was me answering the phone going, wait, what happened? I'll be right there.
That'll do it.
Yeah. It was my first paid internship going. It was the NIMDA worm. We were going way back. So, propagating over SMB. I'll stay away from story time with Stefan on that, but it was, what really is luck? Luck is opportunity and preparation.
Yep.
So if you want to have good luck, prepare your butt off and build your opportunity. And for me, kind of cycling this all together, networking with people, not with BGP, was the key to my success, and it has been the key to success of the vast majority of cyber practitioners out there. And hugely important. Like Josh Mason.
Yep.
He went on this amazing networking marketing campaign, trying to elevate, similar to like what you and I are doing, elevate the profession, and he just got his dream job.
Yeah.
Just got his dream job through networking.
Yeah, and completely, and had prepared and qualified, and was ready for the opportunity when it presented itself. I 100% agree. He's an actual great case study.
Yeah, opportunity meets preparation. He prepared his butt off for 2 years and then built that opportunity through that. So when I talk to a ton of other people, are they going to capture the flag exercises, whether it's red team or blue team or what have you? Like, are you going to conferences? Are you going to what have you? And usually my recommendation is, even if you're just going to meetups and you're not going to capture the flag exercises, like go on meetup.com, go on whatever the Craigslist local thing is to meet up with other practitioners, or Python or whatever. And your goal, even if you are the most introverted of the introverts, is to build other connections while you're there. So what I tell people is, can you go to 2 of those a month? Can you go to 2 of those a week? What is your capacity to do that? Get more comfortable in it if you're not comfortable. And then as you're going through and going to those things, your goal is to set a number of follow-on one-to-one meetings, or a coffee, or a beer, or I make people go running with me because it's fun.
Or Zoom,
whatever. Yeah. So you should be going to those things. And what I try to do is, every one of those meetups that I go to, I try to make sure I lock in 2 one-to-one meetups after that. And so 6 months from now, if you got your nose down and you're in the books and you're learning your craft at the technical level for 6 months, and you're able to set aside maybe 3 hours an evening a week for some networking, and then each of those has two meetings follow on. So we'll say 5 hours a week. 3 of them are outside of business hours. Maybe all 5 are. On that, coupled with 6 months, at the end of that, you could potentially have networked with 100 people. Whatever your capacity is. And that is a phenomenal way to just understand. And if at one point in there, you're going to have somebody go, you should probably talk to Carol, because I think she's looking for somebody like you. Boom, job.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I preach it. I say 50%. I recently did a video on stop doing this, and it was 5 mistakes people are doing breaking into cyber, and one of them
good video, by the way. Plug for you. If you're watching this, go watch, like, subscribe, comment, and hit that bell notification.
Hit the bell for notifications. Yeah, but I will tell you that video is far and away my most popular video. Like it really, really resonated with the community. And the number one thing that people need to stop doing is not networking, right? Which is basically the inverse of start networking. And on Reddit, a couple of people blew me up that I never networked and I got a great job. And you know what? Two real things I want to share. One, yeah, it can happen. You can get a job without networking. It's possible. The probability is you can win a lottery ticket too, right? The probability is much higher if you do network. So yes, there are case studies that you don't need to do it, but if you want a higher likelihood, then do it. And the second thing I want to point out, and I feel like a lot of people don't think about this, Stefan, is like everybody you network with, not all of them are going to be aces, right? You could network with someone who sucks, right? To put it plainly, you could network with someone who's selfish or greedy or trying to figure out how they can leverage you. And you don't need to keep them in your network, right? So build a network that makes you, better, makes you feel good, and helps you because I just hear of these horror stories, particularly in mentoring and mentee relationships, where the mentor is trying to exploit them. Like, oh, why don't you come work for me for free? And you'll get free, you can say you worked in cybersecurity for 6 months, but in reality, like, you're exploiting the person. So, be true to yourself too, when you're building these network out.
Yeah. Like what I come back to is trust and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And as you build that trust with your network and you gain confidence in them and them in you, you have a good fundamental understanding of what you can and can't do, and you put boundaries on those relationships. And to your point, I, I do a metric ton of networking, clearly, and there are definitely people that unlike, unsubscribe, but that for me is only 1% of
Yeah,
one in 100.
it's definitely a minority for sure, like a very minor slice of the pie.
Yeah, I don't see that as a reason to not network. I think that's just a reason to go out, and if you're willing to unfollow someone or unconnect with them, like, that says a lot about your maturity as well. And I go for it. Heck yes, I do it. Absolutely do I do it.
Yeah. And I want to also throw out Discord servers, because I don't know if other industries are like this, but certainly in cybersecurity, there's a lot of good Discord servers. I'm personally am a member of like probably 10. Black Hills has an excellent one, and it's not just networking. There is networking, but you can you can learn all sorts of different stuff in the industry. You can get mentor, mentee, you can ask a quick question, etc. But for finding a job, the point of this talk, like I know for a fact, like I actually placed like a good person or a good friend who I literally just wrote a book with, which comes out September 9th. So check that out. She just took a new job, and I saw it on a Discord channel. I mean, granted, it was a Slack channel, but same thing. It was a private server, but someone posted there, "Hey, I'm hiring, director of cyber threat." And before I post it or anything, like, I might as well ask this community of people who know what this job is and what it would entail and everything like that. Does anyone have anyone? So that wasn't a one-to-one, like, because your network, you got the job presented to you. It was because of a network. Like, I found out about it, and I know that you are interested and that you're a good fit. So you've got people kind of out there championing for you as kind of a N+1 network. So that's another kind of exponential factor of the power of networking as far as finding a cybersecurity job goes.
100%. Another anecdote for me. I don't have pure stats, so sorry, you have to deal with anecdotes. As when I sold my company, the relationship, the genesis of that relationship and that process of selling the company was because I was at a networking event, and I was trying to respond to like a mentee on LinkedIn. I was on my phone, and I was kind of focused on my phone, and a gentleman walked up to me and goes, "Hey man, you're standing in front of the falafel." Literally, I was standing in front of the falafel at a networking event on my phone, and this gentleman's like, "Hey, could you move, please?" Yeah. "Oh, I'm sorry. I profusely apologize. To get out of the way." And he goes, "Cool. So why are you here?" And I talked to him, and he goes, "Huh. Let's get a coffee after this." And he was the one that introduced me to the company that bought mine and set me off on this completely different trajectory because I was standing in front of the falafel. Can you imagine if I had put my phone away and networked with everybody else in the room?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it really goes back to coupling all these lessons we're talking about. It wasn't luck. It was opportunity meets preparation, Like, yeah. Good on you, man. So yeah, there's absolutely a ton of opportunity there. So
there's one more takeaway, and that's if you're at a networking event, go stand in front of the falafel and make sure every networking event you go to, if you're on a planning committee, have falafel, because that's the obvious connection. Falafel sells companies.
Yeah, and that's the kind of under the hood secret level tips you're going to get from Simply Cyber. These falafel things, you're not going to see that on LinkedIn. So as far as the jobs go, let me ask you this too about posting. When you're searching for a job, and I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole on the fact that entry-level cyber jobs don't appear to be entry-level, but how do you think people should be approaching these things? Like, should I, is it 50% of the rec should I apply? Is it if it's any of the rec should I apply? Like, how do you think people should be approaching? Because it's easy enough, I feel, to find job postings, right? You can go on Google, LinkedIn, et cetera. You can find these postings, but to prevent exhaustion, right? Because like applied to 200 jobs, like I've heard it too 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. Like that gets exhausting. And then when you get nothing back from the recruiter or from the hiring group, it's deflating, it's frustrating, it makes you not want to do it anymore. So, I guess if you're going to pick and choose or how you approach that, do you have any recommendations or guidance around that?
Yeah, the general guidance is do not self-select out. Make the company tell you no. Mm. And if I'm looking at a job posting and I only meet 50% of it, I'm still going to apply because I don't have to meet everything. I just have to beat everyone else that's applying. Mm-hmm. And I know that it's overly confident. I know that if I can walk in and there's 30 other people there and there's 2 slots available, I don't have to be the best in the world. I just have to be better than 28 of them. So how do we work through that? And I do see this all the time of, I wasn't qualified, so I didn't apply. Yeah. Do it. Just do it. Yeah. What's the worst that happens? No response. But also the flip side of that is if you've applied to 200 and you haven't gotten any legitimate responses back, then maybe it's time to completely shift your strategy, which is go network. But also your resume is going to need work, or how you're applying, or how you're still like you need other feedback, because there is no feedback loop otherwise. So get in Slack, get in Discord, get into whatever, and get those reviews of you and the 360 feedback. And feedback is tough. We've talked about that before. But without the feedback, how are you going to get better?
Yeah, I certainly know when I was in undergrad, right? So this probably goes a little bit more towards younger people who haven't like worked in not just the field, but off field professionally. I remember when I was undergrad, to tell a personal story of my hubris, I got a computer science degree, and this was like the late 90s. And, the .com boom, right? That was the early 2000s. I was like, oh my God, like I am just going to walk out of here and be like batting offers back. I don't even need to like really worry about any of this networking, any of like my resume can be crap. I'm going to be like their savior. And then I got out and fell flat on my face. Now, granted, there was some other things going on in the world that influenced that. But at the same time, it was definitely a different experience. So just because you're walking out with a certain degree or you have a certain amount of experience in a different field or something like that, those jobs aren't going to necessarily just present themselves to you and allow you to like select from the buffet what you want to do,
For anybody that watches Shark Tank, Robert Herjavec of Herjavec Group, mm-hmm. I'll tell part of his story, right? So he had worked his butt off and literally became the best in the world at what he was doing. And he said, and I'm doing lots of paraphrasing here, he effectively said, I was the best in the world at this very particular software set or solving this problem. And I figured once I was the best in the world, people are going to come ask me to do that. And it took him a while to realize that it doesn't matter if you're the best in the world if no one knows about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I want the takeaway for anybody listening to this to know is it doesn't matter if you are the best in the world if no one knows about it. Like it'll feel good, but that will not pay the bills.
Right. Definitely not. When they're telling you that they're trying to level up themselves in order to find a job or be more marketable for a job, is that investment in themselves worth, a good idea basically for finding a cybersecurity job?
Absolutely. What I tend to start with, like when I'm mentoring people or just in general, right? Not just do you think this route is cool or financially profitable for you, but will you actually enjoy that role?
Hmm.
And I can't answer that for people. I can't help them pick the direction because I can't want them to succeed more than they can. But what I can do is help take a step back and really, really, really look and evaluate whether a path they're going on does make sense. And I can also highlight a couple other paths that they may want to go down that they did not realize. But in order to do that, like and I just my last opening for mentorship for all of 2021 just got booked. So that's from now through the rest of the year. So if anybody follow along, that link will be posted in early 2022.
Yeah.
The what I require people to do before they sit down with me is to do like just a quick Myers-Briggs self-assessment or a StrengthsFinder 2.0 or any really of those psychological profiles on themselves, so that way we can have a really frank, candid, open, transparent conversation on whether they will like it. Because if you go into a phenomenal field with for all the right reasons, and then 5 years down the road you're not happy, you don't have joy while you're working, it doesn't matter what the career is because it's just a job.
Right. Right.
So like we do that. Like, okay, INTJ, INFJ, EF, blah 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 blah. Like there's letters out there. Okay, cool. Then maybe you need to go do something else. I talked with a gentleman yesterday who is a sales professional selling IT circuitry. And he goes, I want to go be a pen tester. Why? Okay. He explains why. And I go, okay, well, why again? And then we go, well, because I really just want to help defend defend companies. And I think there's really cool ways to do that. And that's the route that everybody's told me. Okay, but you're already selling IT, right? Yes. So why don't you? And he's at a really big telco, so like massive telco. They've got they're a partner of mine. I know them. They've got a massive cybersecurity division, and they need salespeople. So like, hey man, why don't you just reach out to the sales team over at Cyber? Here's his point of contact. Get a look at the different products they have, and then once you've reviewed all of those, talk to him again, give him a pitch, and then go switch over to that org, sell the security stuff that is going to meet your overall mission to help protect really cool assets and the people behind them. And then once you're there, if you want to go technical, you can. Like just do why spend 2 to 3 years doing this other route? And he was an extrovert, by the way. So probably not most of the people listening to this, but if you probably will not be technical building and maintaining systems, you probably or attacking them or exploiting them. You probably will be excited about taking those things and building relationships and getting stakeholders to yes to do what your mission is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know yourself, I can't tell you what a good route is.
Yeah, no, that is interesting, and it's telling for people too. You actually bring up two things that I'd like to kind of pull the rope on or tug the thread on or whatever metaphor you want to use. One is and it's more something that I tell people all the time, and I feel like people discount it, is if you want to pivot into cybersecurity, and you're afraid of how do you do it? Like if you got a family, you work all day, and then you got an hour of try hack me in the evening or something like that, and it's just exhausting. Look inside your own company. Like as a cybersecurity practitioner, I welcome anyone in the company that wants to help me achieve my mission. So you get on board with it. You be a champion inside the help desk community or inside marketing to tell people like, hey, Todd, like, did you get? It looks like you're keep hitting snooze on the patches. Like, why don't we do that? You know what I mean? Or even better, like, form the relationship with me, and then when I see that the marketing department is behind on patches, I can ask you, hey, you guys going through some initiative right now? Or you do like what's going on over there? But I have a line, and then at some point we're going to have an opening and go back to networking, right? Networking. I'm more likely to ask,
a known.
a known, yeah, like Jan in the marketing department who's been helping me for a year. Do you want to come on over? We got an entry level position. So there's definitely that. Now, what I wanted to ask you about, and this is something that you are the perfect person to ask this question for, and I don't have an answer for this.
Okay. I'm terrified. Go ahead.
Right. Well, it's just interesting. So whenever someone says to me, like, what can I do? And whenever I talk about the wide breadth of jobs in our field, I am always thinking from the lens of a cybersecurity program. I'm building a program. What are all the capabilities within it? Awareness training, like if you're not technical, audit, awareness training, communication, PM. If you are super technical, you want to go SOC, red, whatever. So one thing that has come up recently is sales. And I never really thought about sales as a way to get into cybersecurity as a job, but it's come to my attention. I had a meeting with a guy last Wednesday, oddly over a beer, networking. I'd never met him before. Someone introduced us and we went and met. He is in sales for a fairly large cybersecurity company. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, he said, sales is awesome. Like it's a great way into cybersecurity. He's like, you know what the real trick is? The trick is having someone leave sales to go work in your program because the money's so good. They're not going to want to leave. They have to really want to do the cyber work because they're going to take a pay cut. And I was like, holy crap, I never thought about sales. So Stephen, since you are uniquely positioned to answer this question, what are your thoughts around entering the cybersecurity field, the on-ramp through sales?
Okay, how much time do we have? Okay, so first off, one of the general pieces of advice that I give anybody that's looking at entering the field is if you are mid or late in your career, you are the best in the world at something, right? You are the best in the world at this thing. And you do not have to go any of the traditional technical routes to get into security. You can go the non-technical routes as well. Like, I know phenomenal cyber-focused lawyers that talk to, like, they're more up to date on your various patches and printer-focused spooler ransomwares than I am. Like, how the heck are you crushing me at this right now? And they're excited about it. It's their hobby, and now they get to go do legal work for a company that focuses on like the legal side of ransomware, what have you. And let's go back to sales. So I think it's an important thing to just talk about like potential salary ranges. So maybe about 10 years as a pen tester, we've got a wide variety of ranges. 10 years as a pen tester, you're probably looking somewhere around capping total compensation of between $200,000 and $250,000 with that amount of experience after you already got into the market. That's a potential. A CISO, the median all-in total compensation for a CISO in North America per Hydrix and Struggles is $768,000 a year.
I'll have to have you send me that report. I
will link you. I will link you.
Yes, please. Please continue. Yeah.
Well, that's all. So benefits, comp.
No, I get it. I get it. Fully loaded rate, but that's a good
long way away.
Yeah, that's a good number. I'd like to get that report. Yes, thank you.
So then we pick over, and sales engineers, they can be junior engineers, senior engineers. Like, there's a big wide variety there. A friend of mine, Amy Looper with Relativity Consulting, tracks these numbers. Shout out, Amy. Sales engineers, usually on target earnings are somewhere between, so just base and bonus, not all in, base and bonus is usually together $210,000 to $265,000 a year. Sales team, it's not unheard of to hear an on-target earnings of $400,000 a year.
Wow.
And not being technical. So that's going to blow a lot of people's minds, right?
Yeah, and it's just interesting too, because I really, I mean, even me, like as a practitioner and who's been trying to, think about the industry as a whole to help people for the last, year and a half, I just dismiss sales as not a cybersecurity role. It's just not. But in reality, the overlap is you can be selling cybersecurity products and you have to understand the product. And there's engineering, like you said, there's engineering people who go with the sales guy, or sales girl, sales lady, and you're all part of the sales team. And like, yeah, I mean, if salary is your driving factor, then there's that. But even if you do that, I feel like you have the capability to pivot easier or have that work experience on your resume if that you feel is what's keeping you from getting that job that you want or the next step in your career. It sounds like sales is really, and I feel like there's a lot of sales opportunities too, right? I mean, is that a misconception?
So it's very accurate. So for anybody that's listening that doesn't know my background, basically my role is the security discipline focus for a sales organization. So I do effectively like vCISO work for my clients across a bunch of different industries. And then when they have needs, say they need network segmentation, IT, that's an IT thing. It's a security thing, darn it. Then maybe they need EDR, maybe they need SOC as a service, maybe they need some point solution. I go out to market and I figure out who can fill those and I bring them in. So I get to see, like, we got 200 clients of like organizations that you all know and you've heard of and shop there, etc. And then the other side of the house is we have these crazy number of vendors. So I get to see like 200 different architectures, stacks, vendors, 200 stacks, like cultures, all this sort of stuff. And I get to see darn near every vendor on the market. And I get to work with crazy numbers of sales teams and sales engineers. And what you're hitting on there is that the sales engineer role is a phenomenal role for practitioners that maybe need a little bit more like me. I'm an INFJ advocate. I'm the most extroverted of the introverts. So I still need some human contact, just not a ton of it. So that is a perfect role for a lot of people that can do this. You go, okay, I've got my tech fundamentals down. I know the difference between SMP and SMTP. Cool. So now when we have this need, we'll say DDoS. Like, I understand how BGP works and an internal peering and layer 3 and layer 4. Layer 7 is a little bit different. Which one of these is going to work? And I can explain that and we can get there. But I don't actually have to build it. But I do have to have relationships with the people that do. So that way I know what the next agile cycle coming is. I know the release dates. I have all this stuff. I also know all the competitors. So I get to do all of that research to know what the market is doing and how we stack up and compare at a technical level. And then I can guide clients through that as a sales engineer. So I keep using and I've done a bunch of context switching in there. But yeah, sales and sales engineering, like, we need more people in the industry to go that route. So especially if you do one of those tests and you come out as an extrovert and you've got a technical background, strongly consider a switch to sales. If you come out as more centrist along those things, sales engineering is a phenomenal way to go. And they're like, you can do that for a long, long, long time and be really happy. If you are as just purely focused on what you are best at is engineering, keep doing engineering. I'm not saying switch. Just know what other options are out there, and some of them can be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, add it to the arsenal of potential jobs. So Stefan, before we close out, if people want to connect with you and continue, having a conversation about, finding a cybersecurity job, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
I post the most frequently and interact the most frequently on LinkedIn. So you can, I think I'm still the only Stephen Semmelroth. There's only a dozen of us in the world. You can find me there, and I also post to I cross post to Twitter and the Instagram and YouTube. So yeah, just basically all I do now is talk and research.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much. This is part of a 6-part series around, cradle to the grave as far as like breaking into cybersecurity and the whole life cycle of that. So thank you very much, Stefan. Stefan's always bringing the heat. Now, if you missed the first episode on how to build a resume, it's going to be right there. I suggest you check it out. And if you're not sure where to go in the industry, you can check out this video right here on how to break in with no experience. See you next time.